Hi, everybody. Today's class will be a slow flow, working the hips and the core. You may want to grab 2 blocks, a blanket, or a towel. We're going to begin in Shavasana, laying flat on the back, legs reaching out long, creating space between the feet, arms at your side, palms facing up, softening the shoulders down the back, and lengthening through the back of the neck. We'll begin to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, finding stillness in the body except for the movements of your breath. With each round of breath, deepen through the inhale and through the exhale. Noticing the quality of your breath and taking a quick inventory from head to toe of how your body is feeling. Not making any judgments here, just taking notice. Beginning to deepen the breath, and then inviting small movements back into the body, wiggling the fingers and the toes, maybe circling the wrists and the ankles, and then reaching up overhead for a full body stretch, and then releasing the arms down. We're going to bring the bottoms of the feet flat to the mat, bending through the knees. And we're going to heel toe our feet out as wide as the mat and begin to windshield wiper our knees out. So dropping one knee in and then the other. Just sort of working out any tension in the hips and giving a nice little massage to the low back. We're going to walk our feet back into neutral and we're going to practice bridge, but first we're going to practice a little rotation of the pelvis. So we're going to inhale and lift the low back away from the mat. And then we're going to exhale and we're going to press the low back into the mat. We'll do this a few times. So inhaling, lifting the low back away from the mat. Exhaling, pressing the low back into the mat. Inhale, reaching away. Exhaling, pressing into the mat. Inhaling away. Exhaling, pressing down. We're going to place our hands at our side, reaching our fingertips to the backs of the heels. And we're going to inhale our low back away from the mat. Exhale, press our low back into the mat, and then lift the hips. Pressing through the palms and the heels and the shoulders and not carrying too much of the weight in the back of the head. And on your next exhale, slowly lowering down one vertebrae at a time. Doing this again, we're going to inhale our low back away from the mat. Exhale, pressing our low back down into the mat. And then lifting our hips up towards the sky. Pressing through the heels. pressing through the palms, and slowly lowering down one vertebrae at a time. Drawing the knees into the chest, maybe rocking side to side if you'd like. The next thing we're going to do is called a single leg stretch. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap our hands around one of our knees, lift our shoulders off the mat. We're going to draw one knee into the chest and reach the opposite leg out long. And then switch and switch, remembering to breathe. Switch, feeling that activation in the core. Switch, switch. If this is hurting the neck, you can always lower your shoulders and your head down and continuing to move and pressing your low back into the mat. Switch. And then drawing both knees into the chest. Again, maybe rocking side to side, and then lowering the feet down. We're going to roll over to one side and press ourselves up to seated. Finding yourself a comfortable seated position, we're going to do a little side bending. So we're going to place our right hand next to our right hip. And we're going to reach our left hand up nice and long, reaching towards the opposite corner of the room through the fingertips. Reaching through that side rib space. Breathing to open those intercostal spaces. And then we're going to sweep that top arm forward and switch sides, reaching up through the right arm, opening that right side body rib space. And then sweeping over to the other side. And we're going to do this a few more times. And I want you to just move at your own pace, moving with the breath. Making sure to always keep a nice tall spine. Focusing on stretching that side body space. And then coming back to neutral. We're going to shift over into tabletop. So if you need a blanket under the knees, now's the time to grab it. We're going to do a few rounds of cat-cow. So we're going to inhale, lift our head, lift our tail, and drop our belly. Exhale, we're going to round through the upper back, drop the head, drop the tail. Inhaling, lifting the head, lifting the tail, and extending through that upper back, broadening the collarbones. Exhale, rounding up. And just moving through this a couple more times at your own pace. And then coming back to neutral, pressing our weight into our right hand, we're going to reach up to the sky with our left arm. And then we're going to weave our left arm underneath of our right, dropping our shoulder and the side of our head to the mat. And you can keep your right hand next to your face, or if you would like, you can walk your right hand out and your right arm nice and long along your ear, reaching towards the top of the mat. And you're going to breathe into this twist, really expanding fully through the lungs, deepening that stretch. And we're going to walk our hand back. We're going to press ourselves back up, reaching nice and long up to the ceiling with that left hand. And then we're going to plant that hand back down. And we're going to shift our weight into our left hand, reaching up with the right. And then we're going to exhale and we're going to weave our right arm underneath of our left, lowering our shoulder and our head to the mat, and finding whatever placement of that left hand you want, whether it be by your face or reaching out towards the top of the mat. Again, breathing into this twist. And then slowly walking that left hand back. And we're going to press ourselves back up, reaching our right hand up nice and high, and then lowering it back to the mat. From here, we're going to do a little bit of core work. So we're going to tuck the toes, and we're going to plant our hands nice and firmly into the mat, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And on an exhale, we're going to contract the core, and we're going to lift our knees a few inches off the mat. Engaging through the core, but remembering to breathe here, keeping a nice flat spine, and slowly lowering back down. And we'll press back into a quick child's pose. We're going to do this one more time. So looking back up, coming back to tabletop, tucking the toes, pressing through the hands. On the exhale, we're going to lift those knees up with a nice flat spine. Pressing through the heels, pressing through the palms, breathing. And then we'll drop those knees out nice and wide, and we'll press back to a wide-legged child's pose. Finding your breath here. We're going to shift our gaze towards the top of the mat and come back to tabletop. Tucking the toes, we'll press up into our first downward facing dog, lifting the hips up towards the sky, pressing through the palms. And if you'd like, you can begin to pedal your feet out, bending through the knees one at a time, just sort of working those hamstrings open. Shifting the gaze towards the front of the mat, we're going to slowly walk up, walking our feet to meet our hands in our forward fold. Just allowing the body and the head to hang here, neck nice and relaxed. We're going to go through a few rounds of sun salutations. So we're going to press our fingertips into the mat, lift up to halfway lift. Exhale into our forward fold. Bend through the knees, press through the feet, and circle the arms up and around, coming up to standing. And exhaling the hands to heart center. So we're going to be coming into our chair pose. So bringing the hands to heart center. We're going to be sitting our hips back, making sure that our knees are not crossing our toes. Pressing our hands together, elbows out wide. Or you can reach your arms up, biceps alongside the ears. Making sure to find a nice neutral pelvic position here, not hyperextending, not rounding. And on your next exhale, we're going to fold forward. We're going to inhale to halfway lift. Oops, sorry. We're going to step back to downward facing dog. If you want to take a vinyasa here, you're welcome to. I'm just going to bring you through a few options for progression. Just hanging here in our forward or in our downward dog, pressing through the heels, shifting our gaze towards the front of the mat, bending through the knees. We're going to slowly walk or jump forward to our hands into our forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift, nice flat spine. Exhaling, forward fold. Bending through the knees, planting through the feet, circling the arms up and around, reaching high, and exhaling to heart center. Again, we're going to come into our chair pose, so hands wherever you like them to be. Sitting back into the hips, making sure the knees don't cross the toes. Sitting maybe just a little bit lower into the hips. Maybe reaching the arms up, maybe not. Breathing. And then exhaling into your forward fold. We're going to do another variation, but if you'd like to step back to down dog, that's fine. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, planting the hands and stepping back to plank. Dropping the knees down. We're going to lower into chaturanga. Elbows tucked in at the sides, lowering down chin, chest, and then slinking your way up to cobra, pressing through the tops of the feet, drawing the elbows together, shoulders down the back. Exhaling, lowering the head down, tucking the toes, and we're going to press back up into downward facing dog. Maybe puddling those feet out if you want to. Shifting the gaze towards the front of the mat. Stepping or jumping to the hands. Coming into your forward fold. Inhaling to halfway lift, nice flat back. Exhaling, forward fold. Shaking the head yes and no. Bending into the knees, circling the arms up and around, reaching high in your standing pose. Hands through heart center. We'll do this one last time with a new variation. Sitting the hips back into chair pose, reaching the arms up or at heart center. Breathing. Exhaling into your forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift, and then planting the hands, coming back to plank. You're going to tuck the elbows in at your side and slowly lowering halfway down, untucking the toes and lifting up to upward facing dog. Drawing the shoulders down the back, and then pressing back to downward facing dog. Shifting the gaze towards the front of the mat. Jumping or stepping forward to your forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold. We're going to bend through the knees, press through the feet, and lift ourselves up to standing, reaching the arms up high and bringing them back down through heart center. From here, we're going to find a nice, comfortable stance, hips distance apart. We're going to bring the hands to heart center. And we're going to step back with that right leg into our high lunge. We're going to bring the hands to heart center. We're going to press out wide through the elbows. We're going to twist to our left, and we're going to tuck our right elbow to the outside of the left knee and press into the twist. Again, always remembering to breathe, broadening through the collarbones, pressing through the heel of the back foot, untwisting, reaching our arms up into our high lunge, bringing hands to heart center, and then stepping forward to the top of the mat. Doing the same thing on the opposite side, stepping back with the left leg, hands at heart center, elbows out wide. We're going to twist to the right, and then we're going to tuck that left elbow on the outside of the right knee, and we're going to press into our twist, bringing our elbows out nice and wide. Pressing evenly through both feet. Using the exhale to deepen the twist. We're going to untwist, reach up into our high lunge. Bringing the hands to heart center. We're going to step forward towards the front of the mat. Now we're going to come into a wide-legged stance, just a couple of feet, because we're going to lower down into our Malasana or low squat pose. Bringing the hands to heart center, slowly lowering down, pressing the elbows into the knees, drawing those hips nice and wide. If you would like, you can sort of rock side to side. And if this isn't working for you, feel free to grab a block and place it underneath your sits bones so that this way you can press out into the knees, open the hips without that extra burden. From here, we're going to plant our one hand forward and we're going to sit ourselves back. And we're going to lower ourselves down to our backs. We're going to lift up with our right leg, crossing our right ankle over our left knee. And you can either just press out through the right knee and feel that engagement in the hip, or you can draw the knees into the chest for our figure 4 position. If you feel so inclined, you may rock side to side. Untwisting and lowering the feet back down, we're going to lift up with our left leg, crossing the left leg or ankle over the right knee. And again, same options. You can draw the left knee out wide, or you can draw those knees into your chest. Lowering back down. We're going to bring our knees to tabletop, a 90-90 position. Bringing our arms to goalpost. We're going to drop our knees to our left side into a spinal twist. If this stretch is a little too intense for you, you can find your own version of spinal twist. And we'll stay here for a few rounds of breath. And then exhaling, using your core, drawing your knees back up and twisting towards the opposite side. Remembering to breathe into the twist. Exhaling and using your core to draw your knees back up, and then releasing the feet to the ground. And then we'll begin to set up for Shavasana pose, our final resting pose. So again, reaching those legs out nice and long, reaching the arms out by our side, palms facing up, softening the shoulders down the back, lengthening through the back of the neck. And now, allowing your body to begin to breathe you. You're no longer taking control of the breath, just returning to your natural state. Making any last adjustments you need to be able to find stillness for the next few moments. And if you'd like to stay in Shavasana for a little bit longer, you can always pause this video now and then press play whenever you're ready to start again. Beginning to deepen the breath, wiggling the fingers and the toes, maybe circling the wrists, and reaching up overhead for a full body stretch. Slowly making your way to your side. Keeping the eyes closed for now. And slowly pressing your way up to seated. And finding your version of comfortable seated position, whether that be legs crossed or legs out long. We're going to take one round of breath together. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Bringing the hands to heart center. Namaste. Thank you for joining me.